On Newsbike Heaven this week, we'll meet Kevin Peschke, who's returning to biking after a 10-year break and really has no idea what kind of bike he wants. We'll also have another featured used bike, some riding tips, and more information to help us stay on the right side of the law. This is Kevin Peschke. He's a 50-year-old polo-playing fashion photographer from Yorkshire. Kevin's last bike was a Harley Davidson, but that was 10 years ago. Now he's looking to return to biking, but doesn't really know what style of bike to choose. So this week we'll allow him to sample 3 very different styles of machine.
Hello and welcome to the show, and I have Kevin with me. Now Kevin, you haven't been in the biking world for 10 years, how come?
Well, we used to run a Harley Davidson and an old shoulderhead for a year or so. But when it got to winter, and we thought better of actually riding out, we thought no, we'd get rid of it.
Got sick of polishing it?
Yeah, sick of polishing all that chrome and the business, looking cool all the time. So we thought, no, I'll get another bike the next summer, but things don't work out. So we just time's drifted on by and drifted on by. I think probably now is the time we address it again.
Do you know what you're going to look for?
Not really. I'm open to anything really, because I've seen bikes in the road and I've seen guys whizzing by and I thought, cool, that looks a bit of all right. But there's such an array of bikes now. Yeah. Not having ridden for 10 years, and that, the sports bikes and everything, a completely different ride to the Harley anyway. So
we've got 3 very different ones for you today.
I'm excited.
Oh, have you got a budget?
Yeah, 5.5.
Oh,
typical Yorkshire man, 4.5 if I could get one. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, we've got 3 bikes. All very different, because I knew you were going to say that. We've got the CBR 600, that's £4,900. We've got the Hornet, this is £5,100. And then going slightly towards the end of your budget, but I know you don't really care about that.
No.
Is the 650 CS. What do you think to the look of these bikes?
Well, the BM first. It's quite an interesting looking thing.
It's a weird looking thing.
Yeah,
actually.
It is really. Colour's a bit, a bit debatable, but I presume it's made for a specific market, so they'll be trying quite hard with that. Which is, it's okay. I'm not,
This bike is actually what BMW would think was your perfect bike, because you've not been into biking for so long. No. They would actually say that was the bike for you.
Yeah, presumably they want something that's quite easy to handle. You can just jump on it and just ride away, really.
Absolutely. What do you think of the Hornet?
The Hornet looks a bit of a retro beast to me. Big engine. I'm not sure really whether I like the looks of that.
Oh.
I prefer the looks of this to that, I have to say.
Right.
But
you've spotted the sports bike, haven't you?
Oh, I misses.
And you've grown horns.
Oh, aye. That looks a fantastic piece of equipment.
Well, we're going to let you loose on all 3.
Excellent.
Yeah, but before we do, we're going to go to Richard.
Okay.
Who's going to give you some hints and tips on how to ride all of them.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So I'll need it.
Well, Kevin, if you fancy yourself as a boy racer, then we have just the ticket with Honda's CBR 600 F1. It uses a 4-cylinder inline motor, which is now fuel-injected and produces an impressive 110 bhp. And in a bike which tips the scales at just 170 kilos, that adds up to some serious performance. Having not ridden for 10 years, Kevin, you'll be absolutely staggered at the power of the CBR. But if we can offer some advice, it would be to keep those revs below 5,000 for the first few miles, and then you can begin to feel really comfortable and open it up a little. You'll then discover that beyond 6,000 revs is where the CBR really comes alive. This bike is an ex-demo model from 2001. It's covered just 3,500 miles and it's yours today for £4,900. If you like the feeling of power but aren't too worried about fairing and race-style graphics, then you could be in the market for a retro-style machine. This is Honda's CB900 Hornet, which although retro in appearance is really a high-tech powerhouse. The motor is the same as that used in the 98 Fireblade, but now has the benefit of fuel injection. Power delivery is smooth and predictable, and the Hornet will sit quite happily in top gear at just 30 miles an hour, whilst at the other end of the scale, top speed is somewhere close to 140 miles an hour. But with no wind protection, anything above 80 or 90 is difficult to sustain for any length of time. It's fair to say that the 900 Hornet can be as sensible or as mad as you like. This bike is just a few months old and has covered only 2,000 miles. List price is £5,900, but we can save you a few bob by offering you this one for 5,100 quid. And finally, if you ask BMW to recommend a bike for someone who hasn't ridden for 10 years, then this would be it. The F650 CS, or Scava. This, they say, is easy to ride, easy to maintain, and has lots of features which will appeal to the new, or dare we say it, born-again biker. Looks-wise, it's a mixture of off-road and street bike, with a hint of BMW's GS range thrown in for good measure. The motor is a 652cc single-cylinder 4-stroke unit, which develops a modest 50 brake horsepower. Final drive is via a belt, something which you'll be quite familiar with, Kevin, from your Harley-Davidson days. This is actually a new bike which has the added luxury of heated grips for those cold Yorkshire mornings. And we are sorry, but it is slightly over your budget at £5,400.
That was Richard there with a few facts and figures.
Yeah.
You've got that look in your eye on this bike.
I'm excited.
When was the last time you rode a sports bike?
I've never actually ridden a sports bike, so...
Have you not?
No.
Right, okay. It's pretty quick.
Good.
So just be careful with it.
Excellent.
Okay?
Yeah, I will be.
We'll go off and enjoy yourself.
I'll be
then.
back.
Okay.
Cheers.
So while Kevin takes the CBR out, here's Richard with this week's used bike review.
It's all a case of horses for courses, knowing the right place for the right bike. And when it comes to baby 400s, well, motorway, wrong place. That's the place for big, heavy, cumbersome, powerful bikes. Small, narrow, twisty country lanes, now that is the right place for nimble, light, fast 400s. And I'm wasting time. This, the CBR 400, is the one they call the Baby Blade. Slightly bigger, slightly wider, slightly longer than the VFR, the CBR looks more modern. It does look like a miniature Fireblade. Everything about it says speed and aggression, the geometry of it, the angle of the forks, the way the whole bike leans forward. It turns in quicker than you can possibly imagine. More or less, you think this thing around corners rather than having to actually input anything into the bike. Did you want another sandwich, or are you... Sorry, but she is lovely. Perfect little form and everything there. At the front we've got these fantastic brakes. Stand it on its nose, no problem whatsoever. At the back we've got a really elaborate little swing arm, nice little details like that, and that great riding position. Certainly compared to the VFR, it feels a lot longer, so you're not as squashed in, it's a bit more relaxed, but you're still right on top of the front wheels, so the turn-in is absolutely incredible. This one's a little bit poorly though. We have to be careful with her because there's a bit of a hesitant engine, so she can't get the thorough spanking that she deserves. We'll be gentle-ish. It's true, there was a bit of a problem here. This bike had been standing for a while, so we had to be rather careful, and it wasn't particularly happy about revving over 7,000 revs, which is a shame, with an engine most of whose power is at the top end. It is all about quick reactions, the brakes, the speed of turning, the engine's ability to just whip up the power straight away. It means you really can enjoy whipping along without actually having to go at colossal speeds. Legal speeds. If you're looking at a bike purely as a toy, a bit of Sunday morning fun and nothing else, then any of the Sports 400s has to be worth a look. They're fast enough and most of all, nimble, quick and agile. They're not all that cheap though. This is a G-Reg example CBR 400 and it'll still set you back possibly 3,000. You'd probably get one for about 2.5 eventually, which certainly isn't cheap, but you do get an awful lot of performance and an incredible amount of fun for that.
Thank you, Richard. And while you've been away, Kevin has returned with the CBR and he's got a big smile on his face. What did you think?
Fantastic. Great second and third gears.
Yeah?
You know, for the country lanes, just, you know, point and shoot. Fantastic.
Really?
Yeah.
So did you find the power, because they're powerful, these bikes, did you find that a problem?
Not really, no. It's just, you've just got to be really careful. I can understand why people get into so much bother with them because everything's there in your right hand.
Yeah.
You know, when the Harley was quite laid back and it was chugged along and it was, you know, this is there straight away, bang, and it's gone.
That's the big thing as well.
Yeah.
With the Harley, you're very sit up and beg, aren't
Yeah.
you? Very relaxed. With this, you're
Yeah.
so far forward. Was that a weird thing?
Yeah, I think on a long journey as well, because I do start to get a bit of cramp in my hands, but I suppose that's something you get used to, you know, on long journeys.
You've not been using it for a while, you see. You've not been giving it any throttle.
Oh, you'll be surprised. No, it's no, you're right, but it is a great bike.
Absolutely.
It's everything I expect it to be. Braking's great. Yeah. Yeah.
Handling, you know, I mean, obviously, because you are far forward, you're leaning into the bends, you're leaning into roundabouts.
I would
all
think,
that?
yeah, yeah, great. I mean, I think once you've had more time on the bike as well, to get to get grips of the weight distribution and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it's an amazing bike. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's everything. Yeah,
Right.
it's good.
Well,
Yeah.
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay, then you like that. We'll see if you're easy to please, because now we're going to let you on the Hornet, which is a 900cc engine.
Yeah.
So it's going to be powerful.
Yeah.
In a different way to that, but it's going to be powerful.
Oh, good.
Stop smiling, because you're worrying me. So, have you ever ridden a kind of...
No.
No?
No. Because it wouldn't have been a bike I'd looked at anyway. Just because of the 900cc. If I was coming back in, I would look for something on the lower end. But it looks a nice bike.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you don't have to go for the 900.
No.
But,
That's
you
true.
know, obviously we
Yeah.
just want to give you a little bit of a
Thank you.
sample.
Yeah.
So you get your kits on,
Excellent.
you get going on that,
Cool.
and we'll see you when you get back.
Fab.
So while Kevin has a play on the Hornet, we're over to Paul, who's going to keep you on the right side of the law.
We're going to talk this week about the rules relating to pillion riders. What rules are there?
It's fairly basic, really. First of all, the seat has got to be properly fixed to the bike. No more than one passenger pillion on a solo motorcycle, obviously. You've got to sit astride the seat, and you've got to have your feet on the footrest.
Right. Is there an age limit for pillion riders?
Nope, no age limit at all. They've got to be, again, just to be able to put the feet on the footrest.
It's like a young child, and
Yeah.
you've got to wear a helmet, of course.
Obviously, any common sense safety features you might want, these buddy grips or
Yeah, they're good, them,
you
yeah,
see them
yeah.
strapped to them. I'm not sure about that one. Make sure
Right.
the kid's strong enough and old enough, that.
What about, just crossed my mind there, what about visor laws relating to the pillion?
It's exactly the same.
Is it the same as the,
Yeah.
even though they're not, because they're not in control of the bike?
Yeah, no, same thing.
If they were in a black visor, they could still get done?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. What it doesn't say there, you said, got to have the feet on footrest, you've got to sit astride the machine.
I know what you're thinking now.
It doesn't say, or am I right in thinking it doesn't say you've got to face forward?
Nope, you could actually sit facing backwards.
Could you really?
Yeah.
Lovely that. And you couldn't get done for that at the moment?
No, just a bit of a loophole in that one.
Eh?
But
Lovely.
as we talked about before, you do see them do it with cameramen on cycle races, things like that.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Well, I might try that.
Could set a new trend there.
You learn something every day, don't you?
Well, that's it for part one. Join us in part two when we see what Kevin thinks to the Hornet and we send him out on the BMW. And Paul will be back to give you some riding advice. See you after the break. Welcome back to Used Bike Heaven. Now, if you were with us before the break, you'll know we're with Kevin, who doesn't actually know what he's looking for, so we've given him three very different bikes. We gave him the CBR 600 earlier on, and he liked that, had no complaints. Then we sent him out on the Hornet 900. He looked a little bit worried, but he's back and he has got a form of smile on his face.
Yeah, it's mixed with the angst of terror.
What did you think?
It's fantastic engine on it. Really power right through the range, brilliant. But quite, you've got to be very gentle with the power.
Yes.
Yeah,
because it's raring to go,
and it
isn't
just goes, man. It's amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now it's a sit-up and beg bike?
Easy to ride.
Yep.
Just, like I say, sit up and beg, so you're not that crouched position. And when you look checking out behind you, it's just easier.
Yeah.
An easier bike to ride. And for long distance, I would think.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So handling-wise then, did you find it better?
Because it's so smooth and it's so torquey,
Yeah.
you can go in any gear, really.
Yeah.
So,
Brilliant.
I mean, the one thing I've found which is difficult is trying to remember which gear I'm in.
Right.
So, but with these bikes, wherever you gear in, you can go. So
That's because you're having so much fun.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what it is. So
Yes.
braking and everything then, all
Excellent.
to your liking?
Yeah. The only thing that I didn't particularly like on it was the side of the speedo, because on a
Right.
bike that's so powerful as this, you need, for me anyway, you need to know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
And with this 600, which has got the digital
Yeah.
readout on it, that was quite easy.
Yeah.
But this is quite small.
Right. Now that's a big tank. Was that a problem?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't actually, because they look bigger than they actually ride.
Yeah.
Because I've only got small legs, so and that was one thing I worried about is a spokes bike against a Harley. But no, it's been excellent.
It's deceptive actually
It is
how
amazing.
high they are.
Yeah.
They do look like that. And of course, once you're in motion,
Yeah,
things get a lot easier.
yeah,
So it's fair to say that we quite like that as well.
yeah. I did actually, surprisingly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you go probably more for the 600 than the 900 then?
I think 600. Yeah,
Is
because
that
that's
your-
got power to die for. But this
Yeah.
is just for guys who actually know what they're doing. This must be wonderful. Yeah, for a novice, it's just...
How reassuring that we're
Yeah.
letting you out on it. Well, come this way then, because now we've got probably what BMW have said is the bike for you, because you're just getting back into it.
Yeah.
What do you reckon to this?
Styling-wise, it's probably typical of what BMW put out as a look a bike that's got the look for somebody getting back into it.
Yeah.
You know, that's really looking for something that's a bit more technically advanced, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit different.
Bit different.
Yeah.
And they generally ride very well. So we shall see what you think.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah,
Get
sure.
your kits on.
Thank you.
And let us know. So while Kevin's off on his third and final test, we're over to Paul, who's going to give you some advice on how to ride.
Lots of motorcycle accidents happen because the car driver simply doesn't see us on our bikes, and that's not always the car driver's fault. As bikers, there are lots of things that we can do to make ourselves more visible and so give ourselves a better chance of survival. So here we have an example of just that. We have a T-junction here, lane coming up to a main road. So Mr. Car Driver comes along here, stops here, and he looks both ways. The problem you can see is pretty obvious. There are trees overhanging here and it's not easy to see out along the main road. So if a bike should come round hugging the curb really close to the left-hand side of the road, we're not going to see him sat at this junction until he's virtually right upon us. Just take a look at this. So he was very close then, he was well into the left-hand side of the road. We're sat here in a car. If we decided to pull out, we'd have committed and it'd have been too late. The bike would have been very close to us. There is a much better solution. Now you can see the difference there, can't you? The rider came round that bend or came along the road, approached the junction, way over on the right-hand side of the road. I saw him a good 10 or 15 yards earlier. So there's a good example of a rider making it much easier for a car driver to see him. Of course, this has a big advantage for the rider, also because the further to the right he can position his machine as he's approaching the junction on the left, the earlier he will be able to see into it.
Thank you, Paul. Some wise words there. And Kevin is back with the 650 CS. What did you think?
Well, when I first saw it, I thought, no, I sort of dismissed it out of the three, really. But it is quite a nice bike to ride, especially for somebody like me who's just getting into it. It's easy, it's quite torquey, doesn't have the power range, that instant square. It sounds fantastic.
It's half the brake horsepower to the other two. Did you feel that?
You can feel it, definitely. You have to actually give it a, you know, you have to accelerate hard to get the best out of it.
Yeah. I mean, yes, although it didn't have the power.
Oh, no.
What did you think to it when you were doing roundabouts, when you were doing your bends? Well, how did it feel?
It was fine, dead easy. Second gear's great in it because when you open it with second gear, it just barks all the way down the road.
You like second gear, don't you?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah. So don't get into third or fourth.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's been a while.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. And looks-wise, I mean, we've discussed it. It's a weird-looking thing, really.
Yeah, and the colours for me is not the colour I would go for.
Ah, well, you see, there's 4 different colours. And different fin things here, grills, whatever you want to call them, gills, whatever.
Yeah.
So you can have a different combination.
Yeah, I would think something in silver or black or.
Yeah.
I know they do one in orange, which looks quite nice.
But it's £5,400, so it's the top end of your budget.
It is.
Does that make a difference?
It does. Well, no. If it was a fantastic bike at £5,400, no. The £500 is not. No.
Okay. Right. Okay then, well I think we've pretty much kind of covered that. Now we need to cast your mind back to the CBR. Give us briefly the good points of the CBR.
Just a great handling bike.
Yeah.
And just a nice feel when you're in there. Yeah.
And looks the biz, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that's all, aesthetically it's a lovely looking thing as well. Yeah.
So bad points.
I couldn't actually find any, but I'm sure there are. But no, it was really good.
You might get a bit of backache.
Yeah, that's the only thing. But I suppose once you get used to the once you get used to that position, you'll be fine. But that's it. That's the only thing you're right.
Right. Good points on the Hornet.
Position, power, distribution, fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. Very nice.
Bad points?
Just the speedo, really. For me, you know.
The speed or the speedo?
Yeah, well, yeah, both. The speedo, it could be a little bit larger so you can actually see how fast you were going.
That always helps.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I'm sorry, officer, I couldn't actually see how fast I was going. And we know what you think to this.
Yep.
So, do you know which one you'd probably choose out of these 3?
Yes.
Okay, well, don't tell me just yet. I knew you weren't going to. Because we're going to go to Richard, who's going to give us a recap.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, Kevin, if all you're looking for is a bike to put a huge smile on your face, then Honda's CBR 600 at £4,900 would certainly be your winner. But would the racy riding position eventually take its toll on your arms and wrists? If it's smooth, endless power delivery that turns you on, then the 900 Hornet at £5,100 could be the one for you. The upright riding position seemed to be to your liking, and don't worry about not being able to read the speedo. We'll throw in an aftermarket digital one, if you ask nicely. On then to BMW's F650 CS. Although you were genuinely impressed with the build quality and finish of the Beamer, you didn't seem too keen on the overall style. Maybe for you it is just that little bit too different. And of course at £5,400 it is a little more than you'd like to spend.
That was Richard there with the recap. Now I feel I know which one you're going to go for, but just tell me anyway.
Oh, you little yellow beastie. Yeah, this one. She's mine, all mine. Yeah. Don't take it back.
I knew you were going to say that. I mean, I know you love it, but could you just try and elaborate on why?
It just felt great.
Yeah.
And it's not too big. I looked at a Fireblade the other day, and that looked massive in comparison.
Yeah.
And you can just tuck in, and it's just a nice ride, and just power to go. Fantastic.
You're an extremist, aren't you, going from a Harley to something like this?
A little bit, yeah.
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 You are going to be careful, aren't you?
Oh, totally careful. When you get to my age, you need to be careful.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm great. Great you found what you're looking for.
Yeah, I'm really pleased.
Right.
Yeah, this is excellent. Thank you very much.
Marvellous. Thank you, Kevin. Well, I feel we've created a monster. But never mind. See you next week for some more used bike heaven. So you do know that now you've got this. Yes. You're going to have to get all the leathers, new helmet.
No,
oh, you've got to get the leathers.
I don't think I go for a one piece, do you?
Oh, nice and tight, Kevin. Lovely. In yellow, it'd suit you.
On Used Bike Heaven next week, we'll be once again trawling the showrooms in an attempt to find somebody their perfect bike. We'll have more legal advice, another riding tip, and of course, there'll be another featured used bike.